All right, on this board, we have Timothy Crosby in Austria from Florida, Tommy Anderson from Massachusetts in England. Corey Nuslund is GMing in this game, and so she must be filling a board from Illinois. She's one of my fellow Windy City Weasels. Actually just came off a very solid win, won our championship game at the Royale last weekend. Germany's Gavin Atkinson from Australia. Italy is Sergei Sergin. Russia from New Hampshire. Russia is Jason Massbaum, a longtime hobby player, well known in the face-to-face community. Turkey is Nate Ellis. Unfortunately, I did not get Nate's location, so if anybody knows in chat, if they want to post that, I'd be interested in knowing. Adam or Doug, anything you want to say about this board and these players?
I watched Sergey play some really strong play last game. I'd be interested to see how that goes. Corey is a strong player. I know Jason can be a very strong player. So, you've got some strong players on this board. There's a lot of people I'm not familiar with here as well, and that always is fun to watch.
Adam?
Yeah. Tommy, Corey, and Jason are all strong players. I don't know the others, but it'll be fun to watch.
All right, well, let's find out. For this game, we'll go ahead and reverse. Adam, we'll have you in the West, and Doug, you can take the East. We'll begin in the West with Adam.
Okay, there's our first channel bounce that I've seen this tournament so far. So that's always a pleasure to see, unless you're playing one of those two powers. Clearly, England thought he was getting it because he moved to Wales. So this is not what you want, but this happens. It's limiting for France. You can see that France will get Spain, and actually France should get Belgium based on Germany making this crazy Eastern opening to Prussia and Silesia. We'll see how that works out.
Wow, that's all I can say about this movie.
Yeah, that's quite unusual. This is not boring like many that we've seen. The Silesia Prussia thing I haven't seen in some time. It'll be interesting to see how Russia reacts to that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Doug, how about the East?
I think we've got a lot of standard openings right here. A bounce in the Black Sea, a bounce in Galicia, walking down to Ukraine. Italy opens up in a fairly standard position to Serbia and Albania, no Romania shenanigans. And pretty much, pretty conservative standard openings, lots of options, nobody really revealing their hands. Presumably, you've got arranged bounces in Galicia and the Black Sea. I think that the thing that's going to drive the East at this point is, Germany going to Silesia and Prussia. You have to assume a bounce in Sweden. Do you want Russia to get Romania and be able to defend against Germany? Is this a Western triple? So in my mind, I think that move could shake up anything that had been arranged already.
All right. Moving on, we'll stay in the East. Doug, go ahead.
Walking to Prussia to Livonia and going back home to Munich, not a lot of trust there for France. I mean, I think he just pulled off and wasted a lot of moves. So I'm not sure about that. But it doesn't matter because Austria and Turkey are saying niet to Russia.
All right. In the West, Adam.
Yeah, I mean, I think like Doug said, the thing that really stands out is the German moves. Goes to Sweden. Russia obviously predicts that Germany's going to Sweden and goes down to Baltic. So this is going to create a not very pleasant position for Germany come the next year. Russia might not be building, but Germany's only building one, which means he's going to be so focused on covering his home centers from that fleet in the Baltic that he's really going to have so little flexibility on what to do. The EF is what wins from this position.
Did Sergei misorder down there? Because he did not end up, it looks like, in Tunis. So he supported.
Oh, yikes. Yikes. That's just really.
I mean, it's not the end of the world, but it is not good. It is not good. You've got Turkey building 2 here. Oof. Yeah.
I would say that Sergei is lucky that France is not going to be building 2, or no, they are building 2. So they're probably going to I'd put a fleet in Marseille at this point and go.
I mean, you almost feel like you have to, because you could see 2 Turkish fleets coming in straight away. Ooh. Yeah, that's a costly misorder.
All right. So we'll at the end of this turn, what do we expect for builds? We just talked about France. Doug in the west, or I'm sorry, in the east.
If I'm Turkey, I'm putting 2 fleets down. Go, go, go. No reason not to. No reason to dissemble or try and disguise things. I don't need an army. And if I'm working with Austria, Austria wants me to build fleets, so I'm putting 2 fleets down right now. And that's, and Austria obviously should be putting 2 armies down. And I'd be building in Trieste and Vienna as well.
Adam in the west.
It's interesting that England opted to go Wales to London rather than Wales to Yorkshire, which basically covers up the London for potential fleet build. So it's got to be Fleet Eddie. I mean, there's not really a lot of other choices. I think he still probably needs 1 more fleet on the board to give him some flexibility.
Do you think that might have been arranged?
It's certainly possible. I mean, it certainly does send maybe the message to France when you see Germany make a cockamamie opening like that, and you want to just make sure that you're getting on the same page. Nonetheless, I think France is likely to build Fleet-Brest Army Paris here, but I guess we'll see.
All right.
Oh, there you go. All right.
All right. Well, let's start in the west. Adam, go ahead.
Well, if it was sending a signal to France, I guess the signal got across, right? So, I mean, if you're England, this is great. This is exactly the build you probably want to see from France, and that's fine. France can pick up Spain using Portugal and has 3 armies there to go, whole hog against Germany, which is what I think we'll see now. And then, the German fleet Kiel, I think it may be less flexible in this position than an army, but there weren't a lot of good choices here. I probably would have opted for the army for more flexibility, though.
All right, and in the east, Doug.
Well, I think Italy got a second lease on life here, given that, and I think that's the most significant thing. I'm glad to see those 2 Turkish fleets. I think that's the right build for Turkey here. Turkey's getting out of the box, which we haven't seen a lot of in these games. So, I'm doing everything I can to focus on how do I get out of the box. And I don't love the 2 army builds where they were. I would rather see 1 in Trieste and put that pressure on Italy and get Italy out of this game, rather than let them lurk around, if I'm Austria.
All right. Stay in the east, Doug.
This is what I'm saying. I mean, okay, why don't you just build in Trieste if you're just going to move there? You just wasted the whole turn. And I get, you can send a message that way, but at a certain point, you play the board as it is, not the way you say the messages. And it was clear what was likely to happen here. So I just think that was a waste of a build. You could be sitting, you're less likely to get, the jump on Italy this way. I don't know. That's frustrating.
Can I just play counterpoint to that for a second? Because if there's a build in Trieste and Vienna, if Italy suspects this, he's not going to convoy to Tunis, and he's going to have 2 armies back there protecting Venice, right? So I think that that's the only benefit. Now, if you're a savvy diplomat and you build an army Trieste and can convince Italy that it's all good, I just built there, that's fine. But I think that that's the only advantage here. I mean, I get your point about tempo, and
I hear you on that, and you're not wrong based on the moves, but Italy should not be under any circumstances convoying out of
that is for sure. That is for sure.
He should be supporting Tuscany to Venice, and then he can hold in the Ionian because he can go capture it in the fall. So you use the Ionian as a diplomatic lever to make a friend with Austria, to support Austria into the Aegean Sea. Don't convoy.
So, Doug, how do you feel about the Livonian or German army from Livonia and Moscow?
Hey, that's pretty fun, actually. The thing with this is he's likely he's going to keep it. Russia supported himself to Galicia out of Warsaw, so he's going to keep it and doesn't really pay the price. And it looks like Russia and England aren't really able to coordinate against Germany effectively. England is coming, but not in the way that's probably helpful to Russia. And so Germany's bad opening is really punishing Russia here, and England and France are gaining thereby.
So I was looking at this convoy order. Convoyed army Livonia to Denmark. Oh, okay. Interesting. So I'm assuming that Jason must have thought that was going to happen. That's why Moscow was open. All right. All right, Adam in the West.
Well, the Austrians and Turks bounce in Aegean, and the Austrians are going after the Italians. I think we talked about that already. But he's still got to worry about the Russians who just supported themselves down into Galicia. So it's a big mess there. There's a lot of people doing it, a lot of different things. I'm sure there's a lot of negotiation with people trying to sort it out, and I think it remains to be seen what the alliance structure ends up actually being there.
All right. We'll stay in the West, Adam.
Oh, sorry, the East, right?
You've got the West right now.
I'm doing the West. Okay. So, so you want me to? Okay, I'll switch over to the West. So, right. So we see the Germans actually move up to St. Petersburg, which is maybe throwing a bone to the Russians, actually, to make sure England doesn't slide in. So that's kind of an interesting balancing play that Germany makes there. In fact, Russia might have asked them to do that in exchange for something. I can't really tell what the Baltic Sea is doing. Is it going to Kiel with the support of the English? Yeah, and I think that's a sensible play for the English here. If you're not getting the dot, why not give the Russians a little help so they're not disbanding in the south, so they can keep mixing things up in that part of the board. Elsewhere, bounce in Munich, French go to Ruhr. This is just bad news for Germany, and I think we can trace this back to that Spring 01 opening. It can be fun to try these kind of cockamamie things, but there's a reason you don't see those types of things very often, is because this is often what the outcome of it is.
All right, and Doug, anything stand out to you in the East?
Well, as predicted, Austria takes Venice, and Italy's position is irretrievable at this point without substantial help, simply because the dislodgement in the Ionian Sea followed by the pull means that Italy does not, has a rebuild, but has a unit stranded in Tunis and is never really likely to get that out there. I think the correct play here is to, I get the idea. It's good to be able to build, but if you put an army in Rome here, boom, Turkey's going right past you. So I don't like that pull. I like the game that Turkey's playing here. I think this is pretty smart. There's no need to antagonize Russia needlessly. Focus on your gains, get your fleets out, get yourself out of the box, be patient, play smart and strong, and you will be well rewarded. And look, Nate is now in the Ionian Sea. This is a great position for fall 02.
Yeah, he's in Ionian and in Black in 1902. Yeah. That's a dream position.
This is a fantastic dream start. Really, really great place.
Cool. All right. Well, at the end of 1902, this is what the board looks like. Adam, what do you expect in the West?
So I'm trying to just do a count. Is anyone building? France is building. I mean, France probably wants to have another fleet. I don't know that they need another army, but there's a diplomatic price to be paid, I guess, for building Fleet Brest. They could waive for right now and, save it up. But I don't think they need it immediately, given what's going on. But on the other hand, you want to get something south before Turkey gets everything through. So I would probably build Fleet Brest. The English are at what, 5 and 4 units. So the English are going to build. It's a tough call here. I think, optimally you want to get an army up north, so probably an army in Eddie or London. And then I think the Germans will stay even thanks to St. Petersburg.
Doug, in the east.
It looks like Germany has a build.
Do they have 5? Oh, I counted wrong. They took Denmark. Yeah. Yeah, so they can put an army in Munich. Yeah.
Yeah, they can put an army in Munich, and they can slow things down quite a bit.
Yep.
I think that with Russia taking Kiel, that keeps him even. So that's not terrible. Otherwise, what do you build as Italy? I mean, it doesn't matter. You're in such trouble. I would probably put a fleet in Naples and use Tuscany to cover Rome and try and draw a defense as best I could. If I'm Turkey at this point, the temptation is to put another army down. Wait, Turkey doesn't have a build. Never mind. Yeah.
Turkey does not need a build.
No, Turkey should win.
So I guess if you're Russia, what are you doing with Kiel?
Sell it to the highest bidder.
And likewise for Italy, assuming I'm not done, I'm not throwing in the towel, is there anyone you think you could be useful to?
Austria is pretty committed to this attack, and I think Turkey's pretty committed to this attack. What I want to see is Mid-Atlantic come to West Med, which then creates a battle around the boot and gives me some relevance. If France doesn't come south, I think that Austria, Turkey just eat Italy relatively quickly.
All right, well, let's find out. We'll stay in the west, and Adam, if you'll take this one.
Okay, so indeed we saw that fleet Brest, and it's coming south, just like we just discussed, which makes perfect sense. No reason for the French to break away from the English. It's working well. There's opportunities down south for them to take advantage of. France forces Munich as Munich forces Kiel. I'm trying to see what is Holland supporting the attack on Kiel. I can't tell exactly what it's doing there. It's supporting Kiel to hold, but Kiel moved to Berlin for some reason. So really, Russia just blew it there. Could have held Kiel, but doesn't. And I'm trying to see in the north. It looks like there's a whole lot of nothing. People attacking each other. Norway going to St. Petersburg, and St. Petersburg going to Norway. So there's basically just a standoff in Scandinavia. So Germans mounting the best defense they possibly can, given the circumstances. So, good for them for sticking with it in a tough position.
Yeah, it's pretty good defense from the Germans.
Yeah, really good.
All right, Doug, in the east?
Well, if you take a look, the vacuum in the south has drawn France in, which is the correct play here. And I like the fact that Turkey advanced to the Tyrrhenian Sea, and the Austrian is following. Rather, don't get yourself spread out and open up so that the Austrian can come back to your home centers. So that's pretty good play. They're moving the attack on Russia at this point. Russia does not have a lot of opportunity here, does not have any diplomatic friends. So I think, Russia's days are pretty numbered here. There's a little bit of a lack of coordination here in the Balkans. It looks like Serbia supported Romania to hold. Not a big deal, but that kind of miscoordination can hurt you in the long run. So, maybe that's purposeful. There's not much you could have done here as Austria. I don't know that I like going to Apulia here, because there's nothing for Naples to do but to go to Apulia. So, maybe you support yourself to Piedmont instead, Tirol to Piedmont, supported by Venice. I think that might be a stronger play, so that you can sort of seal off the boot and wait for reinforcements. Instead, you've got France in there. Yeah, so that may have been a strategic error for the long term.
Yeah. All right. Staying in the east, Doug, you want to continue on?
We got a big mess over there. A whole lot of nothing in Italy. That's a whole lot of red lines. Turkey looks like Turkey thought they had help into Tunis, and it didn't materialize. France and Italy and Austria, not a lot happening otherwise down there. So good guesses, but none of them worked out. I think the key thing here is the take of Romania. It's not the end of the world for Turkey. You could still work potentially with Austria. It's going to make it a lot harder, but with the unit pift, you could just say, well, let's let bygones be bygones here. So I don't hate it. I do notice in the north that Germany retreated to Moscow, which is just absolutely devastating to have that happen. You're fighting your best battle, and to lose a home center based on a retreat is just like head desk.
All right. Well, and continuing on that theme, Adam, you want to speak about what's going on in the West?
Well, not a lot happened, right? I mean, France continues their move south, made the wise decision to go to the south coast of Spain rather than chaining into Western Med, which would have failed. So upping the position there, supporting Munich to make sure they hold it. So they got a build coming, and a lot of standoff. Oh, actually, it's not standoffs. I see that as Doug pointed out, we get a fleet into St. Petersburg. The army doesn't make it to Norway. But England does get a build coming. So again, the EF continues to roll. The RG is not looking so good.
All right. We'll just to catch up on some time. We'll just blow through these builds real quick. We've got a English fleet in London. We've got a French fleet in Brest. We've got 2 Russian disbands, both of their fleets, one in Baltic, one in Sev. Austria built in Budapest. And that looks like everything. Doug, did anything stand out to you on this?
Well, the loss of the fleets for Russia, really pins you in, but it's the right play. You've got 2 units and 2 home centers that are relatively close together. You got to use those units in concert. So I like that disband. I kind of question a little bit what the utility of that army in Budapest is if you're Austria, because eventually you're going to lose Venice. And so you've got a lot of units not doing a lot in the same place. So, I'm a little concerned that you irritated Turkey to build in Budapest for no good reason when you got a French army in Munich.
All right. Adam, anything stand out to you?
No, I think Doug covered it. I think we'll see what happens with those English and French fleets. I think that those are the sensible builds, though, and I don't expect to see any shenanigans.
All right, well, let's find out. Adam, take us through the West.
Yeah, and indeed, the EF continue to roll. England opts to go down to Helgoland and gets bounced out of the North Sea. So a good play by Germany there, But again, this is just a position that is not sustainable, not holdable. They destroy Kiel. Berlin is going to go in the fall unless the Austrians decide to help out. So, really just a tough position. The Russian, I don't want to go to the east. In the south, France continues to advance their fleets. I guess they're positioning to try to take the Tyrrhenian Sea, not expecting the Turks to walk out of it. And in the northern part of Italy, still a whole lot of nothing.
Right. I did think it was interesting the Tyrrhenian Sea moved to Ionian. We clearly saw some activity going on between Austria and Turkey. Doug, you want to speak about that?
Yeah, first thing is, I do like the move to Sevastopol. I think that's good, but Austria is going in a lot of different directions, and I really believe with Austria here, a lot of conservation of force is important. You're trying to dig Turkey out of the box here when Turkey's got 2 fleets on the board or 3 fleets on the board. That's just not liable to happen. So who is your enemy, and where are you concentrating your force? Are you fighting France? Are you fighting Turkey? Because you've got 1 fleet against Turkey's 2. You're not digging Turkey out. So you might as well, deal with that. I'm a little worried about what's going to happen with Austria here, and I think that Corey in France has just a fantastic position. A lot of static, basically not happening. Turkey doing a good job, defend as best as you can. I like Russia retaking Moscow. Send a message. You haven't had a friend all game long, and Germany shattered your game. Punish Germany as much as you can. I would do the same thing.
Yep. Adam, go ahead.
Did we hit the West already? I think
we did. Yeah.
Yep. So let's reveal. Thank you, Adam. Go ahead.
Okay. So now now we're in the Tyrrhenian Sea. Now we got that convoy to Tuscany going, and we've got a cut on Tyrol. Well, actually, I think Tyrolia didn't even support Venice. So, and we've got Italy retaking Venice. So great turn for Corey. I think that could not have gone better for her. She has just got a really advanced position down there. She's got a good alliance going with England. England is not really in a position to do anything against her because the Germans are continuing to stymie them. I don't really understand why Norway didn't support London into the North Sea. It looks like they supported St. Petersburg. I mean, if is that right? Yeah. I mean, frankly, if Germany's going to work with the Russians to take St. Petersburg, Sweden's going to cut Norway anyway. So that seems like an odd way to do it. But nonetheless, England took Kiel, but is now going to have another build, and they have two of their centers occupied. I mean, why are you still in Edinburgh? Why is that not moving to Yorkshire? So at least you can get units out. So just not efficient use of units, but it's good job by the EF, and particularly for Corey here. She's really got a great advanced position.
All right, and Doug on the east.
Well, the first thing that draws my attention is Turkey slid into Naples. So basically transferring Venice as a Austrian dot to Turkey. That's really going to be important going forward. They need to start getting things into Italy if they're going to have any hope of slowing France down in the south. In the meantime, we also saw Romania flip up to Galicia and Serbia go up to Trieste. Lost that army in Venice, but that's not the end of the world. Italy's not building, still, has a sunbather down there in Tunis, not, really going to do a whole lot hanging on the beaches of North Africa. So, hanging out in Silesia is good at this point. Let's see what Austria can build out of this, because they made nice with Turkey, and that's what needed to happen this turn.
Yeah, clearly it looks like they're recognizing the threat and deciding attacking each other at this time is not the right play.
Yeah, I'm with Adam, though. Corey's got a really, really strong position in the south.
But is this ultimately just a field day for Turkey? I mean, you got Austria pushing up the front of the lines, and ultimately Turkey's going to be getting slow builds behind, and really just going to be able to do something later on in the game as long as they play patiently.
Yeah, I think that the wise Turkey is helpful to Austria here and plays their role until it's time to grab things.
That's right.
Because France and England are dangerously close to crushing your stalemate line. You definitely don't want that to happen. So no need to hurry at this point if you're Turkey. Be patient.
Yep.
So clearly, I've heard a vote for the French and Turkish positions. How do you feel about England's chances here? Either of you?
Yeah, I think England's got a good position. I think France is appreciably stronger right now, but I think that could change. I mean, there definitely is some growth for England. Certainly Denmark and Sweden are sitting there that should go, in the not too distant future, right? And somebody will get Berlin. It might end up being England. The question is, does England decide to take the jump on France at some point, or does France take the jump on England, or does this just kind of roll to somewhere where they're both very large and one of them is topping, or they're equal on the top?
All right. Well, we will come back to this game soon and find out what happens. This is round 2, board 5. Yes, this is the one with Tommy, Corey, Jason, Sergey, Timothy, and Nate. Let's see. Just pick up. We had some activity in east. And all right, so we'll pick up here. For this one, Adam, why don't you go ahead and take the west, and you can go ahead and begin. Show us, yeah, let's start.
Yeah, sure. So this game, I believe there was an EF that was just rolling this board, and I think that's just continuing here. France makes the play into Tunis. It's uncontested because the Austrians and Turks are convoying into Apulia. So I'll leave that aspect to Doug. But Tunis falls in the north. Well, we've got England had 2 armies at home and nothing in the North Sea, right? So he's getting into position to convoy those. Not much doing there, just a lot of supports right now in the middle. That should probably change in the fall.
All right, and Doug, in the east, we've got a little bit of movement. What do you see?
Yeah, I like the convoy to Apulia here. I mean, you're not really sacrificing one of your core dots at this point as AT. And instead, you're putting yourself in a position where you're going to pressure France, and I think that's really important going forward. You need that army deployed somewhere where it can do some good, and that's the place that can do the most good. I'm a little surprised that Naples didn't cut Tyrrhenian Sea here. That's a little odd to me. That attack doesn't succeed unless Tyrrhenian Sea happens. And that kind of makes me think in my head, is there, did France and Turkey make an agreement where, hey, help me get Tunis, I'll help you, get Rome in the fall. And we could see that. So that makes me think that, I like what Austria is doing here, moving to Bohemia, strong, lots of armies in the center of the board. You've got Russia moving north to Livonia, which then, could potentially take St. Petersburg because of Sweden. So, I think this is a pretty strong play by the East, by the AT.
Do you feel like the AT needs Italy?
I don't think they need Italy. I think that if Italy is willing to work with them, then that's great. But maybe Italy wasn't willing to work with them and they're just sacrificing Italy at this point. Very possible.
All right, and Adam in the West.
Yeah, I mean, I think just a lot of supports up in the northern part of the board and England positioning to get the convoys off.
Yep. All right. So, Doug, I think most of the action's in the east. So, go ahead and let you start here.
Yeah. First thing, Livonia, Moscow took St. Pete. That's a nice boon for Russia, even though Austria takes Silesia. That's not disastrous. I really love the Bohemia, Tyrolia taking Munich. That's pretty painful for France. And even though the East didn't get in here to any of the dots in Italy, they totally stymied France, and France is pulling at this point. So this is an effective turn for AT, and they have Russia and Italy helping them to the degree that they're able.
The only thing I don't like is Sev to Rome.
Yeah, I like Sev to Ukraine in this situation.
Or even just go to, well, I mean, do you want to go to Moscow to cut the support that way, or you want them to retake St. Pete?
Yeah,
right?
I want. If I'm Austria, I want Russia taking St. Pete and slowing that down and increasing friction and chaos in the West. Yeah. I'm taking Warsaw, so I'm still building, and I can build in Vienna. Maybe there was some lack of trust there with Romania, but Ukraine is a superior place.
Yep. Looking at the West, can we pop back? So the main thing we see is that the English do convoy into Denmark successfully. Really got to give it to Germany for playing kingmaker here and, cutting the Norway support on St. Petersburg and supporting the Austrians into Munich. They're down, but they're not out, and they're still making a difference in this game and in terms of who's going to be the winning alliance in this game.
Yeah, I love to see a player who's down still find ways to stay a meaningful player in the game.
And this, we've talked a little bit about the scoring system and how it impacts the play for smaller powers, but this is actually a situation where there's a number of smaller powers on this board, and surviving longer would actually make a difference in the score for these powers in this game. So they actually do have quite a bit to play for if they care about that sort of thing.
That's a good point. All right, so 1905, we've got Germany disbanding in Sweden. We've got Austria building another army in Vienna, picking up Warsaw, and Italy disbanding the army in North Africa. That's about it. Keep going. Adam, why don't you go ahead and take it in the West?
Okay, so we do have a retake on Munich, so and that was just achieved by cutting all the supports for it, and I think that was a good play on the part of France and England. So they're back into Munich. It's a position where I think they're likely to be able to hold it. I don't quite understand why Austria did not retreat to Silesia. That is puzzling there, but nonetheless, there's some movement. I see that the England supported themselves up into Sweden and bounced in Denmark. Perfectly reasonable. Get that army up there so that they can eventually feed it into St. Petersburg. Convoy down into Holland. I guess that's okay if you're trying to keep your options open. I mean, maybe you want to get it over the top and not be putting it into this particular position, but it gives you some options against France if there's anything strange happening in the fall.
Yeah, maybe discouraging some shenanigans. All right, I'm sorry. In the East, Doug.
Yeah, it looks like everybody kind of banded together a little bit here to cut Austria down to size, which is okay. And as Austria, you sort of have to expect that you're going to lose Munich. No big deal. I agree. You should be retreating to Silesia. There's no real reason not to. I don't know what Warsaw is doing exactly, because holding there doesn't make any sense. You should be going to Prussia at this point. Likewise, I don't understand. You can give Turkey a build here, but Turkey takes two, takes Greece and Romania, and you pull Romania instead of going back to Ukraine. You're losing 3 dots here. This is a pretty devastating turn for Austria's chances in this game. Meanwhile, Turkey is potentially building 3. So this is a mammoth swing. I don't know. I'm not sure what's happening here. We'll have to see what happens in the fall. But pulling units as Austria when you still have a lot of game to play, this does not make any sense.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I feel like Nate's maybe making a move here, which I don't hate, but it's going to be interesting to see with Austria having all the units on the line, whether the West is able to take advantage of that faster than Nate's able to.
I wonder if this was a move by Turkey that might have been better made in the fall, where there's not so many things, so many guesses. It probably would have been there just as well.
Yeah, well, let's find out. Let's continue in the East.
It looks like we must have seen something different, because the way it looked, those units were popped, but they're in Silesia and Ukraine.
Oh, okay. All right.
So I take back what I say. So that let me pull back all that criticism of Austria. He did not do that. What we saw did definitely show those pops, but different.
Continuing in the East, it looks like we've got Ionian taking Greece.
Not only Ionian taking Greece, but Turkey walked Rum to Gal, and Galicia went to Budapest. So that's interesting. It looks like that all may have been arranged. Turkey does get Rome down there, and does hold that. So, they give up a little bit of a lot of position to France and losing the Ionian Sea.
Yeah, France and the Ionian. All right, Adam, the West.
And France and Tyrolia also.
Yeah, that's trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest changes here are just that France broke through to Tyrolia, right? And that's going to make, I don't know how much longer this game goes on, but that's a significant play on the line there. France can hold Munich and potentially push forward through into Nomad's Land and Bohemia and so forth from this position. What else? In the north, we see the English do take St. Petersburg because Russia just chooses not to defend it and instead tries to make a play on Warsaw, which is unsuccessful. And the English hold on to Denmark, as you would expect in this position.
All right. So for our builds, got a little bit of activity. Looks like we've got a fleet, English fleet in London, a English army in Eddie. Looks like we've got a disband of Germany in Skag, army in France and Marseille, disband from Italy, and Turkish army in Caen. Russia's down to 1, Germany's down to 1, Italy's down to 1. Anything surprising here?
No, I mean, I think at this point, my favorite to top the board is France again. Although that fleet build in London is pretty ominous. That can drop down pretty quick to go snaffle Brest away or drop to the Mid-Atlantic. So I would, I'm sure they've got some talking to do. England's got some splaining to do to France here.
We'll keep an eye on that.
If you're France here, do you pop up to Gascony in Spain?
I think that you really don't have a choice on that. You really need to cover, Belgium, Spain, and go to Mid-Atlantic, just all based on that build, which just takes a ton of pace away from you. But, Italy might be willing to help you into Rome, and that might be all you need.
All right, well, let's find out. Doug, why don't we talk about the West? Oh, did we just?
Oh, they called the draw. Yeah, they were.
They must have drawn right there. Yep.
How do you feel about that, Doug? Is that the right call?
I mean, it certainly is for England. Congratulations to Tommy on a strong result. I think that Austria and France have a deal to strike here to carve up some Turkish dots and Italian dots. That's 3 dots that France, I think, is leaving on the table. But good build by England to really put that pressure on and almost kind of force Corey to take that draw. That's pretty nicely done. So I do think there's a lot of play here. I think that Corey could still defend the position and grow, but it's a fight to do so.
What about you, Adam? How do you feel about this?
I mean, I agree with everything Doug said. I think it's a good ending for a lot of people. I mean, I think the other one who has some play in this game is probably Turkey, right? And I'm not saying Turkey was wrong in taking the draw, but I think there's potentially some play there.
All right. Well, congratulations, Tommy. This was a good game.